Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Kimbo here. And part of me doesn't even want to start it. I don't even want to make this video because it's the end, and also my cat's in here. Come on, come on. You want to sit with me with it? I'll do this review. If you want pets, do you? No? Yes? Maybe so. Come on, Miss Aria. Do you want pets? Come on, come on, come on. You got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Miss, are you gonna? No? Okay. Well, I thought she was gonna jump up. Sorry for the long intro, But what's going on, guys? Your boy Kimbo here, and like I said, it's a video I don't want to make because it's the obvious the end of an amazing era and everything. I'll be making a video, giving my roses and everything for sure. But for now, we're gonna start with this. The beginning of the end, if you will. Like, I guess the end of the show. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more content, but you know what I mean. It's the last episode, man. Bakugan Legends episode number 13, the finale. The finale of an absolutely amazing show that has gone on over the better part of the last, 4 years? 5 years. 5 years. 4.5, 5 years. And it's been amazing being along for the journey with everything, man. You already know. I'm gonna make a video going into big time depth for it. But Bakugan Legends episode number 13, man. So with this, are you gonna jump up now? I'm about to start, and now you come back in here. Well, if you're gonna come on. Cats are stubborn sometimes. But enough stalling. Time to get on with this, man. Episode number 13, the finale of an absolutely amazing generation of Bakugan, the end of an absolutely amazing just show in general, the overall balance and everything with it. Yeah, I'll just say it definitely did it justice. But we got to get into it. So we're in the middle of this fight with Hanoj. Hanoj had just, well, obviously, gotta do it out of respect. But Hanoj absorbed the power of the Nova Reflector and used it to get stronger and return his power back to 5,000. So at the beginning of this, it shows him with this crazy aura around him. Drago X Nilius, now being a thing, attacks him, and he basically sits there and explains how the last time when they actually intruded on his shelter, in his area, where Buzzy sent them to where Hanoj was on accident, he let them go because he had heard them speaking. So this being the whole thing of like, why are they saying all this out loud and this man's right by them? They played off of it, man. Like he's smart, He's sitting there and he's listening. Like he's obviously gonna hear the plan that you have, and he heard their plan about the Nova Reflector. And that's why he let them go. He could have Thanos them at that point, man, and been like, nah, you're all done. It's over. But he didn't. He waited patiently for them to get the power of the Nova Reflector. And then when they finally got that power, all they did was made him stronger. He's like, it meant absolutely nothing. Nothing for all of you. The only thing that it did was make me stronger. And he sat by patiently waiting the entire time for this exact moment. He's got the ultimate power that he's wanted and looked for. He just waited patiently for it. And now he's about to unleash it, man. So he goes in, all the awesome brothers, everybody that's there, launches out their Bakugan, and we see them all. Everybody's out getting ready to fight Hanoj, trying to stop him. At the same time, Drago X Nilius is sitting there, and honestly, it's getting pummeled at the beginning. Like, it's getting whooped, man. Hanoj is putting in that work, getting big time hits in. Drago X Nilius is taking those attacks big time. But then everybody else sends out their Bakugan. When they send out their Bakugan, Hanoj answers with a counter attack. Basically, with the shock attack. And with this attack, he literally wipes out everybody with one hit. He wipes them out. They did not play around with hyping up how strong Hanoj is. Now this being his ultimate power after getting the power of the Nova Reflector, yeah, he wiped them all out except for Drago X Nilius. Everybody else fell. They are unable to battle after this point. So with it, Drago X Nilius is stepping up and fighting, but at the same time, it's struggling. It's struggling. Hanoj just sitting there hitting him with some big time attacks, man. A lot of power. Even Drago and Nilius being fused together can't withstand these blows. That's how strong Hanoj is. They've hyped him up as being the ultimate Bakugan for the longest time, man. You see the power of 5,000, you already know it's gonna be near impossible to take this freaking Bakugan out, and nobody by themselves is going to be able to do it at this point. Even Drago Nilius, with their combined power and as strong as they are getting pushed back with this. Immediately going into it, I'm like, okay, they got to do the fight back thing where it's going to be Drago Nilius maybe getting the win with this. You can't always assume with things because they want it to be an unpredictable episode as well with this, man. That's the beauty of it. Like, some of the stuff you could have guessed, but what happens with the rest of this, honestly, it's who could have guessed it? Being real, who could have guessed that it would have gone down this way without actually seeing it? So, we're getting some major attacks in with Drago Nilius and then Hanoj, but Hanoj is getting the jump on it. They suggest like to Benton to fire the beam one more time because it's unstable, and since it's unstable, might not actually be able to power it again after this next hit. It's like this last shot from the beam could be the last one that we have, and everybody's like, what? And they're trying to aim it at Hanoj to lock him away, but then he's like, I'll gladly absorb more power. I now am one with the swarm, and I have taken on their ability. So in other words, he can absorb power himself now, because like he basically absorbed the power of the swarm when he absorbed their life from the Nova Reflectors. Not that they just vanished. He has their abilities and stuff because he absorbed them too. He absorbed the swarm too, man. He has the ultimate power with this. It's insane. But yeah, and Leah after this says that he basically has no weaknesses at this point, which is true. But then they decide like not to fire the reflector. They're talking about it, but then Dan is running and he calls Benton and he tells Benton, fire it. Fire it at Drago X Nilius. If he can get stronger by getting the power of this beam, then damn it, so can Drago and Nilius. And then Winton's like, give it a shot. Everybody's like, yeah, do it. This is for the sake of the world and everything. Like, it might be one shot, but we have to give it a try. Come on, Benton. I'm surprised he sat and waited so long to like think about it and such. But he's like, well, okay. Even Drago Nilius told him like, fire the Nova Reflector. So then he shoots that power and it hits Drago Nilius. But after that, the Nova Reflector crumbles and it breaks. That was their last chance because, as they said, it was unstable. But that was the last beam. They immediately thought it failed because it just crumbled and such before it could get the full dose of power, like how it did the first time for Hanoj. But there's a gigantic smoke cloud. After the smoke clears, we see a bunch of different particles raining down a nova light. These particles end up transforming, man. What this does is some insane next level shitakwa. It's insane, dude. Some next level crap here. I was like, what the fuck? What? What it does is it makes it where all of their different forms appear. So Strength Mode Drago, Archelion, freaking the version with the with the Nova gear, like all of them, all showing up. Like the regular version, same thing for Nilius, all their forms on top of Drago X Nilius being there in the middle. So it's all their different forms. Like what in the Spider verse? What in the Baku verse? What in the Drago Nilius verse is going on here, bro? They're all here. Everybody here. All their different versions, man. So crazy seeing that. that was wild, bro. Like, oh my god, man. My mind was blown with this. I'm like, this power is insane. It made it where all the different forms have now manifested into their own separate physical bodies. All that power and such. The Nova Light had the power to do that. So, with this, they all start attacking Hanoj. They're all getting major major attacks in. Every single one of them's hitting, like Hyenex, Archelion, all the forms of Nilius, all the forms of Drago, Drago X Nilius, all just bam, 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 wham, hitting the crap out of Hanoj. And it's sending him back. And at the very end, it sends him back so far to the point where he crashes into a rock, and it's a big smoke cloud. He's down to like 1,000 power at this point. It's intense. They're putting in that work. It's like, okay, you can see how they're gonna all fight together and everything. They'll probably fight together, have some combined power or some crap like that, and they're gonna take this. This man Hanoj really said this is perfect. It's perfect because it's making more power going to destroy you. Like how it did for all the other battles and such. It made a lot of energy in the nearby area. This man Hanoj sees that energy, and since he become one with the swarm, he takes his claw, his fist, bam, right into the ground, and starts absorbing all of this energy. All of it, man. Every single bit. And also, with this, I had to get the white light on, because, like, the white light, the light of just the heavens and such. Also, the light that, like, the Nova light is shown in its purest form. Also, like Hanoj, the white light and such, and just giving props and stuff. That's why the white light's in here. But this man sitting and absorbing this power, and he goes back up to 5,000 power because of all that power that Vestroya had absorbed. He absorbs it, and then he goes in with this crazy Mecha Hanoj Falcon Punch bullcrap and just BLAM! One gigantic hit. You see an insane explosion that sends an absolutely absurd shockwave throughout all of the nearby area. And then you hear a bunch of the sound animations for Bakugan closing. So with this did an insane amount of damage, man. Hanoj done Thanos snapped every single form of Drago and Nilius and obliterated them, knocked them all out. When the smoke clears, we see them all in their ball forms, and we see Dan and Magnus on the ground, unconscious. That's how it goes for this first part of the episode, man. I was like, damn. Even with all their forms fighting together, they fought in perfect sync and everything too. It still wasn't enough. He had the power of absorbing from Astroya, and now that he's one with the swarm fully and absorbed that power and did that, that was insane, man. I was like, holy hell. Like, my jaw dropped, my eyes were wide open. I was like, fuck, dude. Oh my god. I was shook. Like, absolutely just shook with this. I'm like, yo, they're building. How are they doing this? How is this going? Like, it made it super unpredictable with that, because it was like, oh, hey, it could be the sure normal way of, like, okay, it's gonna be like Drago X Nilius. They're gonna take out Hanoj using the power of everybody, and they're gonna live happily ever after, all that good stuff. Nah, man, they said they're getting Kirkpatricked into the ground and all their forms taken out. I was shook at this point. But the show must go on because we still have the second half. And I know this part is called Bakugan Brawl. And it makes full sense because the last episode, Bakugan Brawl, naming it that, man. Come on. So, Hanoj says, I can finish you all. I told you you would not do it. Now I'm going to finish you all off for good. So he's getting ready for the kill shot to take out everybody there. All the Bakugan and such are done, but he's about to power up. And meanwhile, everybody runs up and they're like, Dan! Are you good? Meanwhile, nobody checked on Magnus. Everybody make sure Magnus is good too, damn it. But, like, he ended up being okay. But Dan gets up, and everybody's just sitting there like, what are we going to do now? Like, that was our best shot. Then Winton looks up. He looks up because Bivastroya is the planet where he was trapped, where Hanoj was trapped, that has the chunk taken out of it that he escaped from, that he broke from. I'm going to call it Planet Nova for this sake, because it's Nova Light, you know what I mean? But Planet Nova was where he was trapped, and then they remember the cutscene where they were actually in Planet Nova, where Hanoj was at. The ironic thing is This exact episode with Buzzy taking them there did so much. Like, not only like showing off that why is Hanoj waiting and stuff, like he's waiting and being patient for this. Not only that Hanoj heard them speaking and such with it, like it had even more depth than I could even realize with it being real. And that being what Hanoj said. There's a key thing that we honestly forgot about that. Like he said, this is the place where I was imprisoned. It has now become my castle. He made it into my castle. He made it into his castle. You know, you mentioned that before. But Winton says, if it trapped him before, we've got to use it again to trap him. So, they're trying to think of a way to do so. And then Dan pulls himself up. He's like, just leave that. He stands up like a badass, man. Jonah, get your roses, man. All y'all get your roses. Like, for real. Jonah, Devin, Margarita, Julius, all the voice actors. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting any of your names on the top of my head trying to get through the review. And you already know I'm going to make a big time special props video and just love video and such after this as well. Just going with the episode review for this because you already know, like, with everything, yeah. You know this damn well isn't the last Bakugan video. This is just the last episode review. There's so much more to go. We're just getting started with, like, second era Bakugan stuff. Just keep that in mind for all y'all that are worried. Yeah, nothing to worry about. Absolutely nothing to worry about. Just saying. I'll explain that even more after this, at the very end. But, yeah. So, so Dan Kuzo stands up like an absolute badass and walks over to Drago, who's in his ball form on the ground. He's like, just leave that to me and Drago. All the other awesome brothers and Magnus are all sitting over there just looking at them, like looking at Dan walk over to Drago. And he holds up Drago. He's like, what do you say? Can we do this, Drago? And then Hanoj basically says, there's no point. It's no use. You're done. You're getting whooped with this. Like, you could try your best. You could try your damnedest. But in the end, it's not going to matter. And then he's just like, really, bring it on. He's like, we're going to defend everything. It's not just about, you know, like Nova Light. We have a power that's so much more. The bonds between all brawlers and their Bakugan, the love that we share, the kindness we share, the growth we share, all the bonds, all the memories, all the experience, all of the hardships, of course, and all the amazing times that we have together, you know, and all those true bonds. And even in the middle of that, Magnus looks at Earth and he thinks of Emily, his little sister, and that's a callback to season one, man. We see the callback with this because it shows cutscenes of Dan and Drago throughout all the different seasons and everything. Even how they've been doing with this. They've shown cutscenes throughout previous seasons with this, man, with those flashbacks. So we get those memories and everything hitting us in our hearts and everything in a major, major way, dude. But Dan rolls out Drago, Bakugan Brawl. But when Drago shows up this time with the bond and everything, the form that Drago takes, I teared up, bro. The form he takes is the very first one, like the very first Drago that we saw with this reboot, like how he was before we really saw Dan battle with them. That Drago showed up in that form. Even Magnus didn't recognize it. He's like, wait, that's Drago? He's like, yeah, that's the first form that he had when he met Dan. And in that form, he shoots a blast at what's thought to be Hanoj, like a blast towards Hanoj, and it misses. And Hanoj says, huh, you missed me, Dragonoid. But he's like, no, we're right on target. Planet Nova is where you were trapped, right? So the beam hits the planet, and the planet starts glowing like crazy. You can see where this is going, man. When it starts glowing like crazy, Hanoj is like, what? It can't be. So when the planet starts glowing, a bunch of Nova Light is released. That Nova Light repowers all of the brawlers' Bakugan. With that, they all roll out, and then they're all battling once again. And then at the same time, Dan and Magnus launch Drago and Nilius. They make Drago X Nilius, and Drago X Nilius goes up towards Planet Nova. They shoot up towards Planet Nova. At the same time, all the awesome brawlers Bakugan are holding down Hanoj. They're holding him in place. And he's like sitting there, oh, what? And he's about to shoot off like a huge beam. And then they're like, hurry, do it, Dan. Well, we see Drago X Nilius release the power, all the different forms show up again for both Drago and Nilius around Drago X Nilius. And then Dan says, "You're about to get hit with the biggest Bakugan brawl of all time." And you see Dan and Magnus on Drago Nilius on each side. And then you just see this insane beam shoot down at them. So it shoots down, and they channel their power. The beam shoots down at Hanoj, but not only the beam. They say, "We're going to take this planet and use it as a weapon against you." They used it. So the Nova Light, they channeled the Nova Light from this planet with their own planet. All that power combined into one. The planet starts diving down right at Hanoj with this mixed power. And he's like, "What?" And then in the middle of it, he's like, "No, no, my power! Stop! Stop!" So this is the final showdown, man. This power starts to overpower Hanoj, and then we just hear boom, and we see this big crash into the crater where the Nova Reflector was. But the planet that was up there has landed in the crater. Inside the planet, Hanoj has been trapped once again, and they say it is done. Nilius Drago says it is done. Then it has a cut scene down to the planet. Inside the planet, we see Hanoj trapped, all the power coming off him with his glowing eyes. He's like, "What? How could this happen?" And then we see all of the power fading from Hanoj's body. The red goes from his eyes, the flare goes from his body, and the white light starts turning into darkness. And his eyes shut as he says, "Imprisoned again." The last words of Hanoj with this battle. With this battle, that is the end. Hanoj has been trapped away for good, forever, within this cocoon. Now located in Destroya, but that Nova power is going to hold him. There's no fissure to crack it open or anything. It's a given, with this being the end. Trapped in that, never to awaken again. This part honestly made me feel like I'm an empath. It made me feel a little bit bad for Hanoj, but at the same time, man was going and absorbing all the power from the different worlds and stuff. Wishing that it would have gone down like a nicer route where he actually might have turned good. But sometimes good doesn't always. I mean, evil doesn't always turn good. Like, you know, even watching the Beyblade anime and everything, like how a lot of the evils turn good after or such. You know, not necessarily in the case with this, but they did manage to lock away Hanoj. You know. And with this, got super emotional, man. Just realizing like that's the end of the very last big time battle, the big struggle that they had, man. And it's just insane thinking that it went down this way because they had to seal him away. His power alone for one Bakugan, honestly, just being real, it took the power of everybody to beat him. So hands down, unquestionably, you talk about one Bakugan who had the most power, who's the honest strongest. People aren't gonna like it, but it's Hinoj. It is. It's a fact. You know, granted, he did have the swarm helping him out and everything, but it was one Bakugan holding all that power. You know, so technically he is, or was the strongest Bakugan overall, power wise. But they had that strategy and with it managed to win. So the battle with Hanoj came to an end. After that, they began the rebuilding process. So they're sitting there fixing up Aeropolis, all the different worlds, obviously like Darkavia, Haora, etc. You know, the power returning to them because Hanoj, you know, basically since Hanoj's power, you know, got drained, you know, and he was in prison and such, that power got re-released back. So with that, all the power going back, and then they just had to sit there and also fix up things too, in all the different worlds. And it's crazy because they actually had like Buzzy teleport people from the different worlds. So they had like Lord Bracken there. We got to see, you know, Crystal Blue was a part of it. Jenny Hackett was a part of it. You know, they brought over literally everybody, like a lot of people from Earth to help out with repairing Vestroya and such. And then even the same thing in like Los Volmos repairing there and such too. But just they included all the characters that we've seen throughout, even in different cutscenes and stuff. seeing them be a part of the rebuilding process. Like we see Magnus and Nilius, it's crazy, just all these cutscenes and such. But in the middle of it, Dan explains how not everything could be fixed. So they're back in Aeropolis. They're at the Supreme Bakugan Council. Um, After like the rebuild, while the rebuild's going on, and basically they say how Earth and Vestroia are continuing to split. So in other words, like they're splitting and they're getting further from each other. If the Bakugan get too far away from Vestroia, they won't be able to channel the power of Vestroia, and that means they can no longer survive on Earth, which it does make sense. You know what I mean? Like if they get way too far, like that's catastrophic and it would honestly kill them. So they have to be by the power of Vestroia. But with them separating, it's natural that they have to separate with this. And this hit me in the heart big time because I got big time season one. Like season one, of course, like just the separation even that they had, like in season two, like going to Geogon Rising and everything, and then them all coming back with seasons 4 and 5, etc. You know what I mean? But like I had season one original Battle Brawlers vibes with this because after this, all the Bakugan, like the battle with Naga and the Infinity Core and everything, they all had to go back to Vestroia, never to return to Earth. You know what I mean? Got those vibes from this, man, and that hit me in the heart. I'm like, if they're paying homage to that with this exact build up right now, with this, with them separating and wanting to cry and everything and just bawling, that part made me tear up. That's where I started honestly bawling, man. I'm like, damn. Like now we see in the cutscenes of the final battle, as it went along more and more, the waterworks came more. Like when the big time final battle was going on, waterworks. When we saw that big time like cutscene with all the scenes with Dan throughout time, even like during the battle judgments and everything, where we see like the cutscenes of previous scenes, waterworks. When the battle ended with Hanoj and he was trapped away, man, waterworks. The biggest part, like when they were saying the goodbyes to the Bakugan with this one, absolute major waterworks with this, man. I was tearing up, I was bawling. I'm like, damn, this is really it. They're gonna have to separate for good this time, because they can't survive without Vestroia. And like Winton's crying, Leah's upset, like Dan, everybody's saying their goodbyes and such. They don't want to, and they know they have to. But with it, um, even like Dan, well, Drago's like Dan, and Dan thanks Drago for all the different memories and everything, and being the best partner ever. And Drago, of course, agreeing and such. And after that, we basically get like a fade to white with it. And after that, life has returned to normal on Earth and loss of Olmos. The two planets are separated, so the Bakugan went back to Vestroia. Everybody's on Earth living their normal lives and such. They're at school. All the kids are at school and everything. And and Dan's late for school, which is a callback to him being late with a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? I get it. Like honestly, when it comes down to stuff, I'd be Dan. Like I'll be there. I might be a bit late, but like I'm there. But yeah. So he's like, it's been hard to wake up because Drago is my alarm clock. And they're sitting there just talking in the halls and everything, walking down the halls, and then we get a cutscene to Dan walking. Dan walked, and where he walked up to the crater, man. This made me tear up so much because it's the crater where the Great Collision happened. That's what started it all, the Great Collision and everything with the first season. It's a callback to that, the very first episode. They're calling back to the very first one with the very last one. The artistry, the storytelling with this series, everything with it, with the build up and such, and it coming full circle with this was masterfully done, man. Like, for real. Absolutely enjoyed it. And they're at the crater because Dan's like, I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for this for a long time. We don't know how long it's been, but he's like, I've been waiting for a long time because the other awesome brawlers showed up and such. But basically, Buzzy appears and all the Bakugan appears. So we're talking all of their partners throughout this, man. So not only like Pegatrix, Trox, Hydrus, Howlcore, Drago, like Nilius, Feral, but we also see like Auxilitor, we see Rampari and Dude, we see Federico, we see Farasco, we see Falcron, we see Pensator, dude. We see them all show up with this. It's so cool. We see Sharktar, all of them show up. So on occasion, Buzzy is able to transport them to Earth, and they can have like some brawls. So I'm guessing it's like they can have some brawls for a bit, but then when their power gets low, they can't drop the power of Destroyer. When their power gets low, they leave. That way they're safe and such, and don't get injured or anything. There's no threats or anything. They basically at this point have saved the universe. Their biggest threat, Hanoj, has been sealed away forever. It's done, and ending off with a happy note like that. So it's like on occasion they still were able to go back and visit Earth and have brawls and such. And this time when they showed up, uh, Magnus was like, "Let's battle, Dan Kuzo," and then he's like, "Yeah, I'll beat you again." And then he's like, "Again? I seem to remember me winning the last time." And then, and they're getting ready to face off. And then you see Dan hold Drago. He picks him up, throws him out, and he says, "Bakugan, brawl!" And then I'm like, is it going to cut? Yeah, and then he throws Drago right at the screen. It cuts with Drago going towards the screen, fades to black, and that's it. Man, I told y'all I didn't in my heart I didn't want to make this review because I know it's the end, and it's like I haven't wanted it to be the end. Of course, it's gonna be a longer review. I don't know if I said at the beginning. I would expect this to be like a 30-minute review. It's even longer than 30 minutes, but now it's time to give the final thoughts. You already know, masterfully done with the storytelling, the mixture of all the characters coming back throughout all the different seasons from seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, still continuing to be in this at 5. It's been absolutely fantastic, dude. It's been so great. All the aspects of the anime were so masterfully and amazingly well done in season 5, even being 13 episodes. They put a lot of story into it, and it's a full coherent story, and just so good, man. Even with it being the last season and the shortest one, they didn't disappoint. This season being right up there on the same level as the other seasons. Threat wise, 5 might even be a little bit above because you had the old evils involved throughout this season, man. It felt endgame feel for sure. And that's how you do a full endgame ending showing all the potential that you have left with the series that you got, man. They did it masterfully with this. And this is me being real. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of Beyblade, you already know. But the way that they ended off Legends, with the storytelling and the endgame feel, is so much sporadically better than how they ended off. Well, how they ended off Bakugan with this. It's so much sporadically better than how they ended off Beyblade Burst, Dynamite Battle, or Quad Drive. But I still love the series. It's not me crapping on the series or anything. It's just like the full endgame feel to where you have a true tie up with no questions unanswered, no stones unturned or anything with that. That's how you know you have a perfect ending. The closest thing to perfect that there could be with an ending. You tie all those necessary knots together into one final bow on the gift and you finish it. That's how you do it. Honestly, Bakugan won in that war when it came to this overall storytelling, tying the bow on it and such, compared to how TT did Beyblade DB at the end. Still, DB was an amazing series and such, but the way they tied this, it felt like a true bow with no questions asked, man. If there is one question, it's Dan and Magnus who would win overall in a brawl and such. And honestly, statistic-wise, I'd say narrowly Dan at this stage, just being real. Magnus knew he needed his power in order to fight Hanoj, and they had to fight together and everything. Trust me, they're both on around the same level. But I say Dan being a little bit stronger. If there was a third blader on or a third brawler, honestly, strength wise, the Awesome Brawlers are all strong, and I'd say they're all on the same level and such. But just a level just above them would probably be Athena. Above her would be Magnus. Above her by a little bit, or above him by a little bit would be Dan. That's my ranks and such for it. I mean, I could make a whole in-depth video and stuff about it if you want to get my big time in-depth thoughts and stuff. But yeah, dude, this episode hitting the heartstrings big time. I just want to give major props and respects to all the voice actors, all the animators, everybody who was a part of this series throughout the 5 years where we've seen it with the animation and such. Props to Mike Lee for the figures. Props to Tillman. Props to everybody at Spin Master and such for everything they've done for this reboot, because you already know it's the most successful Bakugan era ever, because it even outdid like the first era, and it's not even easy to do that, man. I love the first era, y'all already know. I got tattoos for it. Same thing with the second era, but yeah, this era overall is more successful because it had like 5 full seasons with it, man. 5 full consistent seasons, and that's crazy, man. If you go technically, it's about the same length. If you combine how Sega Toys and Spin Master did the first time, if you count like Titanium Surge and Tech both, it's technically 5 seasons. It's just 4 under one company, 4 on the other, you know. But technically 5 in total. Still, this would be technically being bigger, you know what I mean? But yeah, in general, just so masterfully done. The storytelling with this was amazing. The build up and everything was amazing. If you're sitting there and you make us a ball at the end, you know that you told the story that much better, man. And I was holding back tears the second that I finished the last words of what I had to say for this, man. But yeah, overall, masterfully done with this. Absolutely loved this series. I'm so thankful for Spin Master even knowing I exist, for flying me out multiple times to go to the freaking invitationals and everything, being there for the sneak preview of like seasons 1 and 2 for the show, and even showing off like stuff for Geogon Rising, like with the special invitational they had, you know, like the remote invitational and everything. It's just surreal, man. Being a part of it and everybody I met through it and such. The community that's grown with this second era of Bakugan just absolutely amazing, man. The only untouched stone with this series overall being, of course, the TCG, which had much more potential than it went. Like, it could have gone so much farther than it went, but it's still an absolutely amazing thing. And even the balance they have with the Bakugan has been fantastic, man. It's been great throughout this entire era. Even with this end part, with Bakugan getting stronger, there's still balance with it. Stronger Bakugan, some of them being stronger than the older ones, of course, but at the same time, not having much damage. So you got to focus on the damage cards with that, and that's the balance. And overall, absolutely amazing balance with this game, to where Season 1 Bakugan could still be used in profiles, damn it, even with Bakugan with Season 5. Build them up the right way. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's so awesome to see. But, yeah, dude. So anyways, I'm going to end off this episode review with that. It's the finale, man. That's it. And I want to tear up big time. If you're worried about content, I know it's going to be like, oh, Kimbo, well, what about Bakugan now? Like, that's the last episode. What are you going to do? Like, Legends is it. Like, you know, a third era is coming in and everything, you know, like third gen and stuff. Because, like, products being dropped with pictures and stuff online. So, are you going to be talking about it? I'll be talking about Gen 3. I will be talking about Gen 3. I still have to talk about Gen 2, my overall thoughts with it and everything. Because experiencing it from the very, very beginning at the first invitational, being honored to go to that first invitational, all the way up to this point now, going to multiple invitationals, just keeping up with all the products and everything, keeping up with the shows and such, meeting so many amazing people. You already know, got a lot to talk about with videos and giving roses and props and respects to people, everybody who's been a part of like this era of Bakugan, man, for sure. You already know there's profiles coming. You already know there's card openings coming. Hell, I've got honestly cards here that I've been itching to open for the better part of 2 months, but I've just been so busy doing stuff I have not been able to. But no, I will be opening those. I'm going to be opening them in live streams, actually. So we're going to be having Bakugan Pro live streams. Like I said, just because the show's done does not mean that I'm done with things Bakugan-wise. It's not how it works. Like, even Beyblade-wise, you know, I got Quad Strike to watch. Dynamite Battle is done. Burst is done under TT, but I still got so much stuff to do with TT Burst Bays and Hasbro Burst Bays. You already know. Far from done with Burst. Far from done with Bakugan, for sure. And now I'm talking about this era, second era, yes. Even stuff from first era, still getting for Bakugan, you know? So you guys have nothing to worry about with that. It's me reassuring all of you guys, no need to be nervous or anything. But as for the show, this is the end, and it's just absolutely insane, man. They masterfully did this. This time around with the show, hardly any flaws. Being real. Like, they even tied the bow on the knot with an exclamation. An exclamation being that planet where Hanoj is trapped now. Or trapped once again. That being the full, like, boom, right on it. The seal on that bow. But anyways, guys, that's it. that's it for the review on Bakugan Legends episode number 13, the finale, man. It's been an absolute honor doing all these episode reviews and everything for you. I'm honored you guys enjoy them so much. You tune in, you watch them, you listen to my input, you listen to my thoughts and such on it and everything. Cool ideas for things and such, but just even enjoying like what I think about them, because I'm gonna be real about it. It's about like being constructive and such with everything. And in this case, oh man, so much positivity, so many positive aspects, man, for real. The only thing that makes me sad about this era of Bakugan literally is that the TCG didn't go further. Besides that, everything else was just massively done. It's so good, man. But yeah. Anyways, guys, you can let me know your thoughts on the series, on the whole gen, like this whole era in general in the comments and everything. I'm gonna go and do a big time battle, just talking about stuff for real. What my thoughts of the entire era of Bakugan, like with the reboot and such. And my kitty bat came back in at the end. But yeah. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode review. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to slice that like button down below. Now you come up. Let me know how I did. If you're new to my channel, definitely be sure to subscribe for some epic content because I upload daily. And if you haven't already, be sure to ring that bell by my channel name to be notified whenever I upload a video. And before I go, gotta say hi to the kitty. She in here chilling. I know y'all heard her. But yeah. Anyways, till next time, guys, it's your boy Kimbo, along with my kitty Aria, vibing out. Signing off. See you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Till then, stay awesome. And Bakugan, bro! I'm up out of here. I'm gonna go probably ball again, because that was freaking beautiful, man. Everybody, a spin master, whether it's animation, voice actors, and such. Get your roses for this series. For real. I'm gonna make an in-depth video soon, for sure. I'll be doing episode reviews for Beyblade, so if you're a Beyblade fan, stay tuned for Beyblade Burst Quad Strike episode reviews. But yeah, I'm shook, man. I don't even want to end the video off, but I got it. 41 minutes. I had to go into depth detail about everything. But I'm up out of here.